figuring out when to leave a relationship can be extremely hard. The longer the relationship, the more we have invested in it. And we can remember another time in the relationship when things were better. And that gives us hope. Like it must be possible to go back to how things were back then. And even though there are huge, obvious reasons for us to leave, we may still love the other person, or at the very least care for them deeply. So we don't want the relationship to end, but deep down, we know something's wrong. I'm just gonna be honest with you here and say this. If you keep having this sneaking doubt about your relationship, that is this hard to define feeling that something's off, and if this feeling keeps coming up in your mind over and over again, more than a month or two, that means your relationship is coming to an end. Maybe not this week, maybe not next month, maybe not next year even, but eventually it will end. So if you're asking yourself whether you should end it, you already halfway made the decision to do so. It's not even that you've planned anything specific. It's just the consistent feeling of doubt. Like if your closest friend asked you, hey, do you think you and X will be together in 10 years? And you're just not sure? Well, that's doubt. And that's actually enough to undermine the relationship. I'm not saying it's your fault that the relationship is in a state of crisis, but you can be absolutely sure that the doubt is not making the relationship stronger. Listen, I don't want you to make any rash decisions. I don't know what you have. I'm just here to tell you that throughout my entire life, personally and professionally, I've not met a single person who expressed doubt about the relationship for more than a month or two, let's say, who is still in that relationship. So here's a fact for you. Unless you do something actively to change how you feel, your relationship is already over. It may take a year, it may take several years, and then you're both older. And what about her fertility? And what about you? And you may both be paying an even higher price if you drag it out, emotionally, financially, on all sorts of levels. But here's the answer you're probably looking for. How does it make you feel when you hear me say that unless you change something, your relationship is over? Does it feel like a relief? Like something you quite haven't allowed yourself to think or say before now? Or do you feel like you want to prevent that from happening? Because if that's how you feel, you need to take action now. And that involves talking to your partner. So most relationship experts and therapists will tell you that relationships only work when both people are putting in the work. I agree with that. But here's what they almost never tell you. Sometimes it turns out that the person not doing the work is you. So having this nagging doubt about the relationship for longer periods of time will often lead to a kind of passivity in the relationship. So you're not actively trying to destroy the relationship, you're not starting arguments or anything like that. It's more like you keep the pilot flame of the relationship burning, but you don't actually do anything to nurture it. You wait, you await, but you're not quite sure what it is you're waiting for anymore. And that does not mean that you're a bad person. But if you're watching this and realizing that you've had this nagging doubt about the relationship for some time now, and that you've actually done things that were for your own benefit, like trying to allow yourself a little fun in the mundane reality of this relationship, then try to consider this. What was the reason you did something for yourself and not the relationship? Have you quietly and unconsciously made a choice already? Again, relationships only work when both people are putting in the work. So the fact that you're prioritizing yourself right now could be seen as evidence that your priority is your own well-being, not the well-being of the relationship. And don't get me wrong, I'm not blaming you for that or for anything else for that matter. I'm simply asking you to make the observation that maybe you've already mentally checked out of the relationship on some level. And you can certainly have good reasons for that. But unless there's some sort of mental or physical abuse going on, or some specific reason why you're in this state of mind, the only way to answer the question, should I leave my relationship, is by consulting your feelings. And you do that by asking yourself, how does it make me feel knowing that the doubts I have about my relationship will make it end, will cause it to end? If that realization instills you with the feeling that, no, I'll be damned if I let that happen, or something similar to that, then that's great. You have your answer. It is not time to leave, it is time to act. And that is indeed a team effort, and you're going to have to talk to your partner about that. But instead of coming at them with a, listen, you need to fix this and that, you can actually tell them, look, I've caught myself checking out for a while now, and I realized that this will lead to the end of our relationship if we don't change something. And I really don't want that to happen. How do you feel about that? This is going to be a scary thing to hear for your partner, but you're not actually criticizing them for anything. You take full responsibility for the way you feel, and you've come to the conclusion that you want to fight for them and for the relationship. And that is going to be much easier for them to digest. And if it makes them scared and they also value the relationship, that could actually be a good thing, because that's going to motivate them to work with you to save the relationship. So on the one hand, we have the sunk cost fallacy I described in the beginning of this video. We've invested so much in this relationship, like work, sacrifices, money, time, feelings. But that said, there is something to be said about having a history together, especially a good one. It can make it a lot harder to leave a relationship, and it can certainly also add value to a relationship. If you enjoy these videos, please subscribe now. It is a huge help for me, and it's completely free to you. So win-win. Thank you. This is where I'll just remind you, I am not suggesting you make any drastic or rash changes. I'm just asking you, what do you feel when you're hit with the fact that your slowly growing doubts about the relationship will ultimately lead to the relationship ending, unless you do something? That is ultimately what you need to decide. So if this doesn't sit well with you and you want to try to save your relationship, I suggest that you start by watching my video, How to Protect Your Relationship Before It Breaks. This may be very helpful for you. And there's one last thing I just want to touch on. There's a little bit of a problem in the way we ask this question, when should I leave my relationship? Because it implies that there is a time to leave the relationship. Of course, I know I'm the one who gave my video that title, but if this is how you've been framing it, this applies to you as well. Because asking when is it time to leave implies that there is a time to leave. You just don't know when it is yet. And that is not the right mindset for a long-term relationship. The realization that the lingering feeling of doubt you've had for a while now will ultimately lead to the demise of your relationship is extremely uncomfortable. I've been there. And here you were thinking that your partner was the dysfunctional one. And he or she may certainly be. Personally, I would much rather see you save your relationship if possible. But at the same time, I also have to own up to the fact that I've been in your position more than once, having that lingering doubt for years on end. And honestly, I could have saved precious years of my life if I just accepted what that permanent doubt actually meant. I take no pleasure in seeing people leaving each other, especially if there's history and kids involved, and if both people are just great people. So being in a relationship is ultimately a choice, but I just don't like looking at relationships with this consumer mindset. Oh, this product just isn't what I thought it was. Or simply, I grew tired of the product. I wanted a new one. Looking around at my fellow human beings and reading online about people with this mindset leaves me with the impression that it doesn't lead to any type of happiness or fulfillment. A relationship is many things, but it is also a trade-off, a sacrifice, if you will. That sacrifice can make it more beautiful and meaningful. But at the end of the day, you are the only person who can answer the question, should I leave? And you probably already intuitively know what the answer is. Thanks for listening. If you're serious about love and relationships, I want to invite you to join the Heart Love Theory community over on School. It's a place where A, we take love and relationships seriously, and B, we're not afraid to touch on uncomfortable and even controversial topics. I think that makes us more informed and smarter, and ultimately leads to better relationships. So if that sounds like something for you, link below, and I will see you there.